Good afternoon. I feel like this is quite loud. That is okay. Good afternoon. I keep saying good evening. It's not evening. It's afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm just gonna turn it down here. Okay. Hello, everybody. I still feel like it's very loud. It might just be on my side, but it's very loud on my side. In my headphones. Hello. Good afternoon. It's been a while since I streamed Ace Attorney. I don't remember when it was last. I must have that somewhere. I feel like I should know. But I don't. Oh, it seems to be, I think about 3 months ago, maybe 2, but it's been a while. So, because it's been a while, I don't remember a lot of where we were. So, good afternoon, hello. According to my list that I've got right here, the last time I streamed this was 3 months ago. So, bear with me as I remember everything about this case. Based on my current calculations, I think there might be 1 or 2 more streams of this after this one. I had a quick look on like a, not really a spoiler walkthrough thing, but there's like, you have the chapters, and this case is a long one. So we're gonna be on this case for a bit, and I make no promises, but I would like to finish it by the end of this year. But that really just depends on how busy my weekends are gonna be. Otherwise, we'll finish it at the start of next year. But there will be a couple more streams of this game. And then, of course, the plan is to move on to the next games in this trilogy. So, as I said, it's been a while, so I don't remember a lot of it. So we're just gonna basically go in just as blind as we did the first time. Oh yeah, we were on day 3. Yeah, as we can see here, it's been 3 months since I last played this. Rise from the ashes. Let's go. Is the sound good? Because to me the game sounds very, very loud. Good afternoon. February 24th, District Court Defendant Lobby number 2. In the morning. So, what do you think, Mr. Wright? I don't know. I don't remember this case. I think the prosecution is as confused as we are. After all, the victim was murdered in 2 different places at the same time. And a different suspect was arrested at each of the crime scenes. Lana! Good morning, Mr. Wright. I apologize for yesterday. I was indisposed. I hope it didn't hold you too long for questioning. We just finished, actually. I'm used to all-nighters, though. So, how did it go? It isn't very loud? Okay, good. It's as Mr. Wright suspects. The police are clueless. I figured as much, so I struck a plea bargain. A plea bargain? What do you mean by that? Maybe a bit? I'll turn it down a little bit. We agreed that if I told them the truth behind this simultaneous murder, they wouldn't seek capital punishment. That's what I mean, Emma. But Lana, don't tell me you... Much to my regret, I am as much in the dark about this as they are. Lana is very pretty. Miss Sky? We found trace evidence of a certain person in the police department's evidence room. They belong to Officer Jake Marshall. What kind of trace evidence? Bloodstained fingerprints, to be exact. Okay, I'm gonna have to... Before I go on, I'm gonna have to remember what this case was like. This is the big sister of the other one, and she is a prosecutor, I think, if I remember correctly. I'm really trying to remember. And then the Anna is her little sister, who believes in science, is a scientist, and she pleaded guilty. But then the dude that was killed, who was a detective, was found in the trunk of Edgeworth's car. And there is a picture of her looking into the car, which means that people assume she did it. But there's no actual proof that she did it, except for that there's a picture of her looking into the trunk of the car. And then there was somebody else I don't want to say got framed, because we don't know what happened yet, to see the same murder, as in the dude getting killed in the trunk of a car, but then at the police station? Was that correct? I thought she could have been with the police, but it was in the prosecutor's building that the body was found. It's been 3 months, and this is why I want to finish this by the end of this year, because then it won't be another 3 months and I won't have forgotten the whole case. Because I'm really trying to rack my brain and I just don't remember. I should have looked it up before I started streaming, but you know. It's easy to say now. That's the trump card I have up my sleeve today. You do understand what this means, don't you? Oh wait, we can have a look at the court records. Goodman was the dude that was killed, and he was found at the prosecutor's office. Edgeworth has just won the King of the Prosecutor from the PD. That's Edgeworth's knife, which was used to kill. Proof that Edgeworth's car got into the prosecutor's office at 5:12. Was allegedly dancing in the evidence room. Died within an hour and a half of 4 p.m. aka died before 5:30. Victim's memo found in the car trunk, which we turned upside down, and then this came out. The word muffler, that was the whole thing, that something was found in the muffler of the car. It is more than 3 months between now and the end of the year, so as long as you finish it. Parking lot floor plans we got with that. Yeah, that was the picture that was taken. Oh yeah, her blood was also found. That was evidence from one of the cases. Fingerprinting set. Another part of evidence from one of the past cases. Oh yeah, and there was he was also stabbed in the evidence room at the police department. Oh yeah, the SL9 incident. Okay, so he was murdered in 2 places at the same time. That was how it was. You do understand what this means, don't you? In order to defend my sister, you're going to accuse Mr. Marshall? We have to play the cards we're dealt. Isn't that right, Miss Skye? Do what you have to do, Mr. Wright. Courtroom number 9. We're seeing all the courtrooms. It is always the same judge, though. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is... I'm afraid you'll have to clarify. It takes 30 minutes by car to reach the police department from the prosecutor's office. Yet the victim, Bruce Goodman, was slain at both places at the same time. but that's not physically possible, is it? What's more, I hear the victim from the evidence room just disappeared. Yes, and the body eventually reappeared in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Wow, this is one messed up trial. That sounds about right. One of my duties as prosecutor is to present impartial evidence. Today I will present evidence relating to the murder at the police department. In so doing, I believe the way in which we should proceed will reveal itself. Now that's what sets Mr. Edgeworth apart. He sounds so on top of things. I don't think he knows either what happened. Even though he doesn't know what's going on himself. Okay, my theory. And this is theory just based on the rereading of the case. Was that somebody killed him. Somebody killed Mr. Goodman. And dumped him in the boot. And then Lana found him in the boot. The judge is an eternal being. Yes. And that's supposed to be an admirable trait. He is also a bit of an idiot. Yeah, it's because he has to spread himself so thin. He does 9 cases at the same time. How can he remember all of them? Very well, let the trial resume. On the day of the crime, what exactly transpired at the police department? Mr. Edgeworth, you may call your first witness of the day to the stand. For its first witness, the prosecution calls the suspect of the murder that occurred at the police department. The suspect? You mean the so-called murderer? Yes. Ooh boy. Things are getting wild from the get-go. Yes. Will the witness please state his name and occupation? Yes, sir. I am Officer Mike Meekins, sir. What? I'm so lost. My occupation is, that would be murderer, sir. Dude! So you're telling us you're a professional killer? Sir, it was me, sir. I'm the one who did it. I'll never kill anyone again, sir. You've got to believe me, sir. Actually, what we'd like to hear from you is, sir, I'm what you call part of the younger generation, sir. A person whose actions adults can possibly comprehend. Please, Miss Edgeworth, sir, help me, sir. Officer Meekins. Yes, sir. Give us your report of the crime. Consider that an order. Yes, sir, as you wish. After all, I am part of a generation that must be told what to do, sir. Dude, you can't fault him for a lack of enthusiasm. I'm so confused. Crime report, sir. Although it's not my normal duty, I was assigned to guard the evidence room that day. I spotted a suspicious man on the security screen and rushed into the room. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. I fought for my life. Then I did it! After that, I passed out until another officer smacked me awake. I don't think you did it. So the victim, Detective Goodman, attacked you? Do we have the... One knife wound died within an hour and a half. Yeah, she's a chief prosecutor. She's not a policewoman. And the victim... So, it's definitely not... Well, we knew that. It's definitely not Meekins. It's one stab wound. And then you pass out. That's not how it works. Do unto others before they do unto you. That's the Meekins family motto, sir. I see. Then you fainted and the colleague helped you regain consciousness. Yes, sir. He knocked me upside the head, sir. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. What I need here is more info to work with. Time to press everything. Although it's not my normal duty, I was assigned to guard duty the evidence room that day. Mr. Meekins, you work in the General Affairs Department, do you not? Yes, sir. I'm in charge of hiring new recruits, sir. Yikes, now there's a scary thought. Evidence transferal was taking place on the day of the crime, which means many officers were given special tasks not ordinarily performed. I was in charge of guarding the blue badge, sir. The blue badger? Yes, sir, the lovely police mascot created by the chief of detectives, sir. I was to ensure it wasn't broken during the transferal process. Too late. That was my sole mission for the day, sir. I see. Sounds like a very, important mission. After the award ceremony finished that day, there were so many people running around that I relocated the blue badger to the evidence room. Oh, so that's why you went to the evidence room. Tell us, what did you see when you got there? I spotted a suspicious man on the security screens and rushed into the rooms. In order to enter the evidence room, you need an ID card, am I correct? Precisely, sir. I have one right here around my neck. So then, your ID number should be listed on here, right? There it is, I found it. This is the one right here. Could you please read us the number? Yes, sir, it's 4989596. That's my number, sir. I see, huh, but the number 4989596 is shown as being used twice. Please explain, witness. It's no real mystery, sir. The first time is when I relocated the blue badger to the evidence room. And the second time is when I went to go get him after everything settled down. I see, so it was during that second time when... Yes, sir, that was when I spotted the man on the security screen. Data added to the ID card room. Thank you. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. So you were attacked. Can you please tell us exactly what happened to you? It was a knife, sir, a knife. Detective Goodman pulled a knife on you? What happened then? Well, with me charging in on him like that, he looked as surprised as I was. You aren't exactly the kind of person someone would want to run into. That's when I reacted, sir. I swung my arms like an octopus, struggling to detain him. That's how I got this gash on my hand. Maybe if you just kept your cool, your hand wouldn't be... When I saw the blood trickling down my arm, I panicked. I grabbed the man by his collar. I fought for my life. Then I did it. What exactly do you mean when you say you did it? I know I don't look the type, but I'm really into kung fu films, sir. The man let his guard down for just an instant, so I snatched his knife from him. You took his knife and spun him around and performed a disarming maneuver. I made sure to close my eyes like a man. Definitely like a man. I see. He must have been desperate. The next thing I knew, his white coat was drenched in the sea of my blood. And then the next thing I knew... Yes. He punched me right in my face, sir. After that, I passed out until another officer smacked me awake. About what time did you regain consciousness? No offense, sir, but how am I supposed to know that? I was unconscious. Oh, right. According to the report from the officer that woke up the witness, it was about 5:30. He hit me right in the head, too. I woke up crying tears of pain. Poor Meekins. That's nice. I mean, it's nice that you recovered, that is. Then I came around, though. I made sure to finish my mission, sir. Your mission? Yes, sir. The Blue Badger, sir. I returned him to the entrance before things got out of hand. Well, we can all rest easy now. He is so cute and dumb, yes. I believe we now have a fairly accurate picture of what happened. Yes, Your Honor. Only one thing remains unclear. Was the man this officer murdered really the victim? He's got a point. Yes, Officer Meekins? With regards to that, sir, take a look at this. It was sent to my jail cell. Chief Gann delivered it to me just this morning, sir. The chief delivered it? Oh, we don't trust the chief, do we? What is that? A videotape? Yes, sir. That's absolutely right, sir. A videotape, sir. It contains footage from the security camera in the evidence room. What? But I specifically asked if there was such a tape, and was told it had been mistakenly erased. That's quite a mistake. I just do what I'm told, sir. It's the only thing I'm really good at. Hi! It's okay. We've realized that it's been 3 months since I last played this game, so I remember very little about this case, so I'm going in basically as blind as I did the first time. Yeah, I don't think we trust the chief, do we? And poor Meekin says he did the murder, which none of us believe. Looks like communication with the police department is good as ever. Well then, let's have a look. Show us the video of you murdering the victim. Oh, please stop using that word murder, sir. It scares me. A video of a real murder. Just what are we getting ourselves into? There's gonna be some weird angle to this, isn't there? Even in the evidence room, the thing's moving. Oh, what? Oh, yes. We never see his face. The mascot is very creepy. Creepy but cute, I agree. So we never actually saw the dude in the white outfit's face, so it could very well not have been Goodman. It is like something from a horror film, I totally agree. Especially with the music as well, they're like doo doo doo, it's like creepy. Well, he's not happy. Well, I believe we're all thinking the same thing. How can we deal with these unsettling feelings stirred within us? What the hell was that wriggling piece of plywood? That's the right question to ask. Sir, that is the pride and joy of the entire Criminals Affairs Department, sir. It's a blue badger, sir. Why am I not surprised this isn't going smoothly? Yes, well, anyway. This tape seems to prove that the witness did indeed encounter someone. Edgeworth is never happy, yeah. In the evidence room. Oh, it skipped. Your Honor, instead of relying on clearly incomplete footage, the witness's testimony will suffice. Is that alright with you, Officer Meekins? Yes, sir, as you wish, sir. His face can't be clearly seen in the video. But there's no question that the other person was Detective Goodman, sir. I mean, he opened a locker which required Detective Goodman's fingerprint to do. The locker he opened is unquestionably Detective Goodman's locker, sir. So it must be him. No one else could have unlocked it. Wait, we have a tape. Give me a sec. We have a floor plan. Where is it? There it is. Oh. The thing is, so on the video, I was too distracted by the blue badger, but I think he opened a different locker than what it looks like he opened. I'm confused. So it must have been him. No one else could have unlocked it. Okay then. What's this about a fingerprint? Each detective has been given a locker equipped with a fingerprint activated lock. These locks ensure that each locker can only be opened by the detective it belongs to. Intriguing. That would mean the victim at the crime scene would have to have been Detective Goodman. Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination. I don't know where this cross-examination will lead, but everything begins with contradictions. That's where I have to start. Let's go. His face can't be clearly seen in this video. Tell me, were you able to get a good look at him? At the face of the man who attacked you with a knife? Sir, if you must label people as having seen or not seen a man's face, I believe I would be classified as the latter? I mean, he said he closed his eyes. The latter. But you were standing right in front of him, were you not? More to the point, you are the person who fought him, aren't you? Oh yes, sir, but I didn't get a clear look at his face, sir. I'm not the kind of guy who looks directly at people when talking with them, you see. Yeah, that's a good trait for a police officer. Still, I'm sure it was him. I'd bet my badge on it. I feel like he's gonna lose that badge. But there's no question that the other person was Detective Goodman, sir. But you don't know that for sure, do you? You never actually saw Detective Goodman's face. Well, I suppose you might say that. That is, if you must label people as having seen or not seen it. Since his face can't be identified in the video, only you can verify it. But why is everyone looking at me? If I had to label your stares as disturbing or... Meekins! What? Having been shown a questionable video at best, we are not in the best of moods. Now please be more certain when you testify. Yes, sir. You claimed that man who brandished a knife on you was Bruce Goodman. Tell us why you are positive it was him. He opened the locker. About these lockers, is there no other way to open them? No, sir. I myself tried all kinds of methods in the past. They only respond to register fingerprints, sir. I wonder what kind of methods he tried. If the man opened the locker's lock, which only responds to its registered fingerprints, then he must be the person the locker was assigned to. Exactly my point, sir, and this too. The locker he opened is unquestionably Detective Goodman's locker, sir. How do you know that information? I've heard rumors, sir, from people in the know, sir. Unquestionably heard rumors. People in the know? The workers in the department cafeteria, sir. They keep me informed. They also listen to my romantic troubles, sir. For the record, the opened locker did indeed belong to Detective Goodman. I verified this information through a more reliable source. So the victim... That's a good question. So the victim opened the locker with his own fingerprint. Oh, this is presenting. Let's just continue this. And then we'll have a look if we can fudge the video again. So it must be him. No one else could have unlocked it. However, the most important detail is not shown in this video. The man's face. Sir? If I may say something, sir. Please do. After all, you are the one being examined. I don't understand why the man's face is so important in this case, sir. Oh yeah, we can watch the video again. How long is this video again? Half a minute? At least this time we didn't get the creepy music. Okay, so that's somebody walking in a white coat. No face shown. Yeah, he's opening the middle one there, and a glove falls out. Also, does he have his hands out, or is that a glove? Then he walks in. Because we found that evidence glove, didn't we? We did, yeah. We never see a face. It's almost more creepy without the music. Yeah, so it is that middle one, which it has confirmed to be Detective Goodman's locker. Also, he never left. Or at least not through the front door. Okay. I don't understand why the man's face is so important in this case, sir. I mean, it was his hand that opened the fingerprint lock. And it was his hand that tried to thrust his knife into my body, sir. Yeah, how did the guy disappear? That's a good question. My unsettled state can testify enough to this, sir. Yes, you have a point. The footage doesn't lie. That is, unless the defense can find a problem with it. Mr. Wright, let's check the court records again. Is there a problem with the security footage? There's definitely a problem. Regarding the video contained on this tape, there is one thing in particular that seems rather strange. Strange? This contradiction leads to the possibility that The man may not have been Detective Goodman. What? This video contains such a contradiction? Interesting. Your Honor, I have a proposal. Yes, Mr. Edgeworth? I propose we have the defense point out to us this alleged contradiction in the video. He would want me to point it out. Very well, proposal accepted. Let us further inspect this piece of evidence. I will now play the security tape. Mr. Wright, please show us this contradiction you speak of. Let's have a look. Is the light already on? Let's go. I have to point out a problem in the video. This is the first time I've ever had to do that. You can do it, Mr. Wright. It's set up so you can fast forward, rewind, or pause the video. Just take a good look and be sure to point out the right thing. Please don't watch it too many times. How did this guy ever become a police officer? Now then, Mr. Wright, please enlighten us. Where is the contradiction that indicates the man may not be Detective Goodman? There we go. The light is already on. Which means the door was already open before he walked in. The thing that's strange about this video has got to be this. Officer Meekins. Sir, do you mean me, sir? As I understand it, the locker apparatus works like this. When you grab the handle, a sensor reads your fingerprint if it's a match. The light turns on and the lock is released. According to my very limited experience, that's the way I understand it, sir. Yeah, we didn't have to watch much of it. If so, then something is seriously wrong with this picture. Do we have to watch the whole thing again? When the victim reaches for the handle to open the locker, let's rewind to a little earlier. Ugh. At least we got the music back. There, notice the light? What's this? It's already lit. We got forced to watch even double the amount after I'd already found what was wrong. Precisely my point, Your Honor. The locker was already open before the victim grabbed the handle. Did he handcuff himself to his neck? Is that what I just saw? Order, order, what's the meaning of this? It's very simple, Your Honor. The locker wasn't locked on the day of the crime. But the locker locks are controlled by an automatic electronic system. Absolutely terrifying, yeah. When the door is shut, a sensor is triggered. And the locker is automatically locked. Oh, I know, it must have broken down. Of course, I'm not an expert in this. That's not likely, Your Honor. The sensor would detect and report any malfunctions. Oh well, it just goes to show novices should keep their mouths shut. So then, Mr. Wright, do you have an explanation? Me, Your Honor? Yes, why wasn't the locker locked? Me, Your Honor? Yes, well, you see, this isn't exactly my field. What do you think, Miss Scientific Investigator? Is his sling for his hand attached with handcuffs? That's the thing, I saw handcuffs. Huh? Oh, maybe something like jammed the system sensors? Something jammed the sensor? Say. There's something else that seems out of place in this video. Yeah, I thought so too. Oh, there was a glove that fell out. There's got to be another clue somewhere in this footage. The glove that fell out was like keeping it open so the door wouldn't close, or keeping the sensors. Very well, let's inspect the video once more. The locker wasn't locked. Mr. Wright, please point out the cause for this. Oh, we can fast forward. It's not visible in this bit, and then he comes in. At least we can... Oh, we need to go back. Go back. I see a glove. Please watch closely. This is the continuation of the part I showed you earlier. Oh, now we have to watch it again. It's weird when we do and don't get the music. What's this? Something white fell out of the locker. But, sir, it's been my experience that things fall out when doors are opened. I often fall out and roll great distances when I open my car door, sir. We can't be sure that item was completely inside the locker to begin with. What do you mean? The sensor triggers the lock when the door is shut. What if something was inserted, say, between the sensor and the door? Inserted? We just add our own music. This white thing wasn't inside the locker. It was stuck between the door and the sensor. Oh, I understand now, sir. It's just like my tie. 2 out of 3 times it gets stuck in the door when I get out of my patrol vehicle, sir. How did he become a cop? Seriously. But the object would have to be extremely thin to fit in the door. Not only that, it would also have to block electrical currents. It would need to be an insulator. Yes, an insulator, but at the crime scene. There just might have been something that fits the description. But, sir, by insulator, you don't mean... I think I finally got this figured out. Very well, will the defense please present the relevant evidence? What was this insulator that was stuck in the locker door? How is he not dead yet? Agreed. A rubber glove. I found this near the locker. A thin rubber glove. But we can't be sure that was in the victim's locker. It has a tag that says SL9 incident. The video seems to depict the victim opening the locker. But that isn't the case. The lit lamp attests to this. On the day of the crime, even I could have opened that locker. Is this not so, Officer Meekins? Sir? It would appear so, sir. Order, order, order. So, are we to believe then that the victim, whom this witness stabbed in the evidence room, was not Detective Goodman? Do not be misled, Your Honor. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? The defense has merely demonstrated that possibility and nothing more. The victim in the video was indeed Bruce Goodman. The prosecution will offer one more testimony to prove this. What? Officer Meekins, please testify about this. What? Sir? Me, sir? Not sure what you're referring to, sir. Oh, you mean that, sir? Of course, sir. Is this a joke? Very well, begin your testimony. Ugh. Mr. Mantu. There's one thing that proves the man was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card. An ID card record. I see. I have the ID card record right here, Your Honor. The ID used at 9:14 is that of the victim. Just before the crime, Yes, without a doubt, this is the victim's ID. However, one thing does strike me as unusual. You think so? You think that must hurt? Several hundred cases should have been due for transferal. Why were there so few people using this room? That's a good question. This particular evidence room is only used for storing certain special cases. Special cases? Extremely violent cases involving police staff. Just hearing that makes my hair stand on end. Me too, although it doesn't make much of a difference. There were only a few cases up for transferal there, and most were cleared by noon. Right, I see. Now let us move on to the cross-examination. The card was found in the prosecutor's office at about that same time. So it was either a fake that was used by somebody else. That's my logic. No, it was the real deal, but used by somebody else, I think. There's one other thing that proves the man was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room... Okay, let's press everything. So, unlike your earlier testimony, you believe this to be rock solid, do you? Yes, sir. Solid as a stone, sir. If my hand wasn't wrapped in bandages, I'd even give the V for a victory sign, sir. You have two hands. Couldn't he just use his right hand for that? Let's hear him out fully. As we've seen, one never knows what he might say until the very last second. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. Is that card hanging from your neck one of these ID cards? Yes, sir. This card right next to me, right next to my cuffs, sir. I keep it here so I won't ever forget it. But what if someone were to steal it from you, keeping it out in the open like that? Maybe I shouldn't wear it around my neck. Remember when I said 2 out of 3 times my tie gets stuck when I get out of my car? Well, the remaining time it's my ID card that gets stuck. Seriously. Can we see the times again? Yes, give me a sec. We've got the ID card for Goodman found at the prosecutor's office crime scene. At 12 past, Miles Edgeworth drove into that lot, so at 14 past, that card would probably be there. And then this one. Yeah, so at 14 past, Bruce Goodman, I'm using quotations in my head there, entered the room. Also, who is the 7-7s? We've still not figured that out. Ooh, could this be? Could it be that he lost his ID? Anyway. Well, the remaining time... Instead of the door closing, my ID card chokes me. Maybe I should just leave this one alone. At any rate, each police officer has only one ID card. Both the police department and the prosecutor's office can attest to this. Please proceed with your testimony. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. Let it be noted that this is the record the witness referred to. So, my theory is Bruce Goodman lost his ID card, which is why he couldn't remember his ID number, writing down on that lost item thing. So somebody else had his card, went into the thing, and then dropped the card at the prosecutor's office. Because we found it at the prosecutor's office, didn't we? Not the original crime scene investigators. So that by that point, more people would have been there. Anyway, let it be noted. It is odd. It is, apart from romance and, you know, angst, it is odd that he is the one prosecuting this case. Let it be noted that this is the record the witness referred to. Let me see. Yes, that would be it. Detective Goodman. Huh? What's the matter? According to this, Mr. Edgeworth, your name is on here. What? So it is, Your Honor. Not the prosecutor again. Hey, maybe he's behind all this. Being a prosecutor, he could hide the evidence. Homie, is that man in blue a murderer? Shh, don't stare at him. You've got the wrong color, kid. It would seem the inquiry committee will want to speak with you again today. Wait. Oh yeah, his name was on there, because he also entered... Yeah, Miles Edgeworth entered before everything happened. That's it. I forgot about that bit. I've looked at the record multiple times and I keep forgetting. I have nothing to be ashamed of regarding my actions or their consequences. For now, let us continue with the cross-examination. Poor Mr. Edgeworth. It must be so difficult for him. It is weird. Also, why is there a kid in the courtroom? At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card. Earlier, I believe you testified that when you asked the man to show his ID card, he pulled a knife on you. Yes, sir, he didn't show me any ID card, sir. Don't you think that's odd? I mean, if he had his ID card, all he had to do was show it to you. There wouldn't be any reason to draw a knife. Yeah. Maybe he just panicked? Everything stems from contradictions. Let's point them out. Mr. Wright, what do you think? I'm confused. What? The problem with this ID card testimony is far too obvious. It's not like Edgeworth to miss something like this. You're thinking too hard about it. Come on, let's show them what we've got. Okay, we're gonna have to present something. I have a guess we have to show the ID card. The lost item record. Do we use that on this one? Or on this one? We're gonna use it on this one. Wait one moment, Officer Meekins. I'm not good at waiting, sir. I have the victim's ID card right here. I found it at the crime scene. That makes sense. When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene. The underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card. A lost item report? It's only half completed. But it shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report. Let me guess. You believe this something to be his ID card, right? I can't say for sure, but there is a high probability. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card. Order, order. So now, what does this all mean? It can only mean one thing. It doesn't even require much thought. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card. He got very lucky his face wasn't on camera. Does the prosecution have a response? I have only one thing to say to the defense. Bravo, Mr. Wright. Bravo? Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 p.m. on the day of the crime, the man in the evidence room, Officer Meekins, encountered was not Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. The Blue Badger. The Blue Badger is definitely Dodger. We need to cross-examine the Blue Badger. Definitely. There are two grounds to support this. The first, the locker in the evidence room was already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Wouldn't surprise me, it seems evil. For a police, like, mascot, it seems very evil. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright? Yes. What's he up to? That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in this video is a fake, then the murder in the evidence room is also fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of the murder. That is true. That is... well, I guess that's right. Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Only moments ago you seemed content to be pointing your finger around. This isn't going to end well. Well, well. It seems you finally realized exactly what you've gone to some length to prove. Explain yourself, Miss Edgeworth. The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video is a fake, which means a murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime. So the real crime could only take place at one location, the underground parking lot. At the prosecutor's office, the murderer being Miss Lana Skye, the defendant. Oh god. The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy witness observed the moment the defendant used a murder weapon. Ah! Oh, we're back to this, are we? I knew that testimony was way too shabby. It was all a trap from the beginning. The activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered. Who exactly was the victim Officer Meekins encountered? And where did this person disappear to? However, this trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman. Just so, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, you have to do something or else, Lana. How am I supposed to get myself out of this mess? That's a good question. Good, but we have no... Do we have any proof? We'll always object, okay. One moment, Your Honor. What now, Mr. Wright? Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven. Of course not. But I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap. What are you talking about? This cross-examination has proven one thing and one thing only. The security video did not show the actual murder. Really? How did they decide which times you do and which times you don't get the music with this? However, it cannot be said that it is unrelated to the murder in the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. If this court were to examine this further, other witnesses will be necessary. Is the prosecution prepared? I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considered the incident at the police department to be unrelated. We have not prepared any other witnesses for this incident. This just might be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand. Mr. Wright, do you mean... Your Honor, the defense would like to request a specific witness. Oh, whom do you have in mind? Someone we have reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room. The prosecution requests to hear this person's name, before deciding whether or not to comply. Very well then, Mr. Wright. An unprepared Edgeworth. The horror. This person whom you would have testify? What is his or her name? Officer Jake Marshall. Why him? I can't let Edgeworth know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say. The prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department. We shouldn't need longer than 20 minutes to prepare. Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time? I've only ever read that word, never said it. We will, Your Honor. Court is now in recess. I'm gonna take a sip of my drink. District Court, Defendant Lumby number 2. There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? Huh? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you've figured everything out. I haven't figured anything out. Lana, you're the one who knows everything. Emma, you always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? That is a good point. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection. How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me? Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Oh, poor Gumshoe. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. And stop it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Sorry, detective. You better be, pal. Hey, 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 hey! I didn't see you there, Chief Prosecutor Skye. That's okay, so have you brought what I asked? Oh, what? You mean this, right? Dude, are you stuck? My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Miss Wright's name when making my request. My name? Never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files? I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy. The SL9 incident? But Lana, that's a lot of paperwork. I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them. I can't believe you, the Chief Prosecutor, were a witness in that case. Miss Skye was a witness? Files for the Joe Dark killings solved 2 years ago. Take it from me, you don't want anything to do with serial murderers. Oh, what? Now that I've brought you your stuff, you're just gonna ignore me? Emma, but why? Why is your name in here? What? My name's in there? I don't know, unless... No, it couldn't be. Lana, this SL9 incident, is that... That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as... the Joe Dark killings. The Joe Dark? No, no, Lana. That's over with. No! Emma, wait! She ran away. You know what? I just remembered I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal, but I'm out of here. Jake Marshall, Angel Star, Damon Gant, Miles Edgeworth. Not to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just a coincidence. Knowing you, you just might be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck! I'd better take a good look at this file. We have no time to read the file, do we? Yes, of course I want to save. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Can I read the court? Can I read these? Is it number SL9. Perpetrator Joe Dark. Crime, serial murder, sentence death. Victims Edward Jones, Edith Kirby, Jeb Bates, Neil Marshall, Rachel Moss, Jason Knight. Head prosecutor Miles Edgeworth. Witness Lana Skye, Emma Skye. Investigative Task Force Executive Investigators Damon Gant, Lana Skye. Head investigator Bruce Goodman. Investigators Jake Marshall and Angel Starr. Okay. So, Lana and Emma were both witnesses. Miles was the prosecutor. Yeah, so a family member of Jake Marshall died, as well as 5 other people. None of which I currently have any, like, links to. And the lunch lady Angel Starr and Jake Marshall, the cop that thinks he's a cowboy, were the investigators together with Bruce Goodman. I don't remember who Damon Gant is. Have we met Damon Gant? Yeah. Oh, that was Damon Gant. I forgot his name. Okay, so everybody was involved. And she was only 14 at the time. Okay. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Yeah, we don't like Damon Gant. I forgot about that. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Oh, I forgot the cool music we get when we talk to him. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know, you're a patrolman. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it to you. He was incredibly unpleasant, to say the nicest way of saying it. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime took place. It's okay, I can still read what you mean. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? A desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. What the fuck? Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English. Day of the crime. In plain old English. Yeah, he can't do that. My job was to keep a wary eye on the bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. Dude! I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I hard agree. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. He's not that good with machines or with following orders. Everyone's got their weakness now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. He should lose his job. I agree. Keep a wary eye on the bone orchard. How exactly did you keep an eye on the evidence room? I just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. That room's so still. Even time dies in there. I was just a caretaker who entered the recordings. You entered them? Videos of nothing aren't that useful. When the time would come, I'd erase the tape. His only weakness. Yeah. If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes are to be erased every 6 hours. Each time I'd erase a tape, it felt like I was erasing a part of my life. This guy has a flair for the dramatic, but it isn't going to do him any good. So in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. But you make your rounds on the day of the crime, right? Ain't you heard a word I said, partner? I told you that ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No, Desperado, I know let's rules get in this way. No, Desperado, I know let's rules get in his way. No, Desperados, I know join the police force. So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime? I have a recording error. Give me a sec. Huh, okay. Give me a sec, I'll be right back. And we're back. Okay, sorry for that. I had an issue with my recording setup. But we're back, I think. This is the fun of streaming. Okay, yes, we should be. Okay, good. Sorry. We were... That completely took me out of it. I got like a massive error for my streaming setup, which is always fun. Can you guys still hear and see me? Because I think the live bit should have been fine. I'm just gonna wait to make sure people can still hear and see me before I move on, because I feel like we're getting... Yeah, okay. Good, then we'll go on. The joys of live streaming. Sometimes live streaming equals stuff just blips. I meant by C, I meant the game. The game is still visible. There is still a visual to the stream. So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime, let's get into it. Just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day. There was a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that? He just said he never took... Okay, good. He just said he never set a foot in there, so I'm gonna assume he knows nothing about it. Sorry, partner, can't say I do. Exactly. I haven't been in that crypt in weeks. Well, you've not been doing your job. How are you still in a job? Thank you, Phoenix. How does this guy avoid being fired? Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. You used to be a detective, so you've used the evidence room in the past, correct? Of course. Back in the day, my locker was a goldmine of evidence. And yet, you didn't know about the fingerprints locking mechanism? About him? We have... Apart from some SL9 stuff, and this, which is just a random screwdriver, we've not got a lot on him at this point. Sorry, partner, I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bike works. That's quite incredible. The sensors on the locker handles cannot be seen. It's well known that some detectives are unaware of their presence. Now that he mentions it, Detective Gumshoe said something like that too. How do they not know how the things work? At any rate, it doesn't seem that this is relevant to the crime. I feel like that should be part of the explanation of this is how the lockers work. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place? If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down, aka you were out drinking. What were you doing in a place like that? I don't consider a bike a machine. Well, it's got some moving parts. This is the moment where you question, how do you, I've lost the word now. What would you consider a machine? I was eating spaghetti. Not drinking then. Not even Angel's steak lunches can beat that parlor's fungale sepia pasta. Do you mean to tell us you abandoned your police duties to eat some noodles? To eat some pasta, but yes. Not all desperados eat tacos, partner. Define, that's the word I was looking for. I knew it started with a D, I just couldn't remember the rest of the word. That's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson. That's strange. This is usually where Edgeworth says, "Did you not want to race this year?" I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Out of ammo, Officer Marshall? That's right, partner. Or as you'd call it, evidence. If you plan to pin me to this crime, then you'd better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting to carry me back west into the sunset. One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything. Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that. Apparently your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I'd best keep my cool. Before I use it though, I'd better up the ante. Okay, we need to present something. Hmm. Oh, yeah, there we go. I'm gonna add it to, I'm gonna show it to this one. It's his handprint that we found. That's where we had something. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd that is you being called in to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. Or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects, that is, with my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what's the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints are at the crime scene. The blood was wiped away, however. A luminal test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? It seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall? About the blood-stained fingerprints? Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints. Found at the scene of the crime. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the blood-stained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprints are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See, I had nothing to do with it. How does he know he was wearing gloves? The witness's explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. That's not what we're doing here. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding something, I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. Like I said, that's because you, how did you put it, pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective, the locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently, his fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without even knowing it. Found a blood handprint on Marshall's own locker, the print had been wiped. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the bloodstained handprint. So then, what about the bloody handprint? It wasn't mine, it's no mystery. Please explain. My locker is covered with my fingerprints. It just so happened. Chance was by chance. The chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. On the contrary, one could argue just the opposite. The chances of that not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward with me for a mere fingerprint. You wanna know why? The bloodstain and the fingerprints are completely unrelated. Unrelated? They're as different as night and day. Kinda like cereal and cereal. One's got to do with breakfast, while the other's a type of murder. He's right, although seemingly alike, they're totally different. I don't see what homonyms have to do with this. I agree with that. Or did you know the murderer was wearing gloves? How do you know that? How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a bloodstain at the scene, though, to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found in Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh yeah, I think we tried that too. The chafing is gross, I agree. So that would mean the murderer wearing gloves happened to place their hand on top of Mr. Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. I don't feel scientifically like that makes sense. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture. This seal of blood in the desert. It's just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. The security tape. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this. Cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall. Too bad it wasn't me in the video, right, partner? What do you mean by that? You want to tie me to this crime? Isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. Show us this incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Jack Marshall. I feel like there must be evidence in here. I also have the thing with that it could be the fact that he's like... I know... The one behind the blue badger is his. That's why we can't see if the handprint... Wait. If this is... What's his face? How did the blood get there after the fighting? Even though So this locker is his. And I'm assuming it currently has no blood on it. There's also a handprint there. But that was already there before, like, the thing happened. Okay, so there's... Oh god. There's two things that could be interesting. One, the fact that to combine... The coat does have blood on the shoulder as well, yeah. Do we have anything to do with that? Because he also pulled a knife on him, which is not the same knife as the one that I'm assuming. So was that his knife? The one that he keeps shaving with? Could it be that I'm gonna present that he disappeared? There, how's that for evidence? Please allow me to apologize for my colleague, Your Honor. He gets carried away sometimes. Yes, well, this certainly wasn't the first. Will you forgive him too, Sir Marshal? He's not a bad man, just a bit disillusioned. Of course, I'm not one to gun down unarmed boys. Oh great, now Edgeworth is defending me. Guess that means I missed the mark. Very well, let's get back to the cross-examination. I think that was the whole video. Okay, we're gonna have a look at the camera video again. I feel like... So they're supposedly... I'm just looking at his locker now. Because we know what's happening there. Also, I'm pretty sure that is the knife he keeps using to shave for no reason. I'm just continuing the whole video just to see... So he disappeared here. Oh! Wait. Okay. I'm gonna go back. Give me a sec. I think I saw something. So... Oh, I don't have a pointer, so I'm gonna have to... So... I was confused. So there's the blood on the floor near the locker that was Goodman's. Then there's a blood behind where the blue badger is, which I think you are right, is Gumshoes. So then the place that I'm looking for, which is a locker all the way on the left at the end, which is then Marshall's. So I was looking at the wrong locker the whole time. So I'm gonna have a look at Marshall's locker. Because if he didn't go in... Like, can we see the blood print appear or something like that? Let's have a look. I think you're right. I think the one behind the blue badger is Gumshoes, and the one at the end is Marshall's. I wish I could, like, skip forward and backwards on this bit, on where you're not giving it as evidence. Because I don't, like, the coat is very much like Goodman's coat. Like, nothing about the person is, like, dodgy. Yes, he drew a knife, but everybody draws knives. And there's a whole video, as in it kills back again as well. Otherwise, they would just cut it off when he's down. Like, they would cut it off here. But it goes back one more time. It waits a while here. The timing is weird. There's a thing sticking out of the locker. It's gonna... Yeah, it disappeared when it restarts. That's it. That must be his locker. And only he can open it. So... Ooh. That's not what I meant to do. So I'm gonna press him on that. Let's go. Let's have a look. Okay, and then I think... Okay. Show evidence. I think that's it. Let's go. I'm just gonna... So the one all the way at the end here is his locker. And I think that's where, there, at the end, there's gonna be a thingy sticking out. Again, I like how the hand goes back to it. And then it waits a bit extra here. And then something sticks out. Wait. I'm sorry. Can I rewind backwards to the... No, I can't. Okay. It's like the last little bit. Sorry, this is taking a bit. I just need to pause ASAP. Fighting happens. Still nothing. Meekin's down. I'm ready with the pause. And then... there it is. I think that's it. Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. I think we got it. The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. I was too focused on the wrong locker. That locker with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witnesses, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. Oh, I'm gonna dream of this video at this point. The amount of times we can now rewatch this video is impressive. They're doing it extra slow as well now, I think. Oh! The white cloth! It's gone! What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then, it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Considering he stares at the camera every single day, he would know. Order, order. Ooh, hold your horses. Sorry, partner. But you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was opened? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened the locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm wanted, man? This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I call your bluff. You say I opened that locker. Now prove it. Ah. Fingerprinting sensor? We talked about this earlier today. The locker can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? Oh, here we go. Yes. I only got 1 word for you, partner. Oh my god. That was cool. Witness, explain yourself. If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. He was pretending to be Mr. Goodman. Ole, please answer the question. What, is he now a bullfighter? That's all right, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here. We can? Have a look at these floor plans. There we go. There is no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. If that's so, then where was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right, the only possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? He was pretending to be the victim. Well, pretending to be Mr. Goodman. Officer Marshall was standing right there. There? But that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Correct, unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. Maybe I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his card, sir. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on me. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it. If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall? You've got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it. You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. Ah, this can't be happening. So obvious he's the one. What can I do? It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics? For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside of the box. It shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in a disguise. But rather I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise. Why do you think his locker was opened in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later as it has been. which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot. It's his coat. It's his coat. I think Edgeworth is helping us. Very well, let's take yet another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open his locker. Because there was blood on his coat. For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what end yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat? You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now would we? What's going on? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. Alright. It seems the time has come. Marshall's confession. Ooh. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. And managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So the supposed victim was really you? But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. It was way too much blood for such a small donation. When you say it, you mean... Do you even have to ask, partner? The SL9 incident. 2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over. But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When a case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time. No matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine. Dude, but Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance. That's why I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I plan to take out the evidence. Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was crying out the evidence transferal, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera. And the detective's ID card? I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Goodman started filling out that lost item report. I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself. But he could, because a rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a 1 in a million type of person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his race this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm so sorry it had to turn out that way, with me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. I agree with that. So you knocked Officer Meekins out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera. So you did your research beforehand. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I don't think it would make a difference though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is on that day, there wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates this crime took place. What, are you blind? The victim shown on that tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker? Actually, no I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing the detective's ID, injuring a police officer. This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I can't just forget the SL9 incident. You know why? Why? But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence. I remember the Joe Dark case. It involved serial murders, didn't it? I don't intend to complain about how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I'd better take another look at the files. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name, Marshall, is mentioned in here. In the list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago, he received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. Ooh, the plot thickens. What? A prosecutor? He must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award. Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right, he was killed. And the case fell into your hands. But what's his relation to you? He was my brother. That's a weird hairstyle without the hat. He was investigating the murders with Damon Gant, the then Deputy Chief of Police. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. He looks creepy. Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the record says. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with its resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The thing that happens by chance never ceased to amaze me. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance? It's got to be more than just that. So, if no one was murdered at the police department in the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye. But wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. It seems to me this boy's got the draw on you, partner. So, now that he's put his hat back on, it explains why I was so confused. I get now that it's hair. But in my head, I keep reading it as like a cloth or something that he's wearing over his head. That's why I was so confused. Like, I get that he's got his hair long, but in my brain it's still like a cloth he's put on to protect himself from, like, to shade his face kind of logic. It seems to me the boy's got the draw on you, partner. All of the mysteries at the police department have been solved. No doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Skye. And the testimony of one Miss Angel Starr is completely uncontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. It does seem like he's wearing a towel. Exactly! That's why it confused me so when he took his head off and it was like, it's his hair. Ah! He does about. I rest my case. Dude, you can't demand it be one word or less. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time. Disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera tape really was fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty. Don't think it did, though. Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant... Oh, hello. Your Honor? Wait. Emma. The defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right? What do you mean, right? Right? Are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor? Oh, in a sense. Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. How nice of you. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky's sisters were in that file. But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprints had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again. So did you find something? No. Huh? Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. What? Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. And I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clues we have. If we can't find something wrong with them... Please, Mr. Wright. You're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regards to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be. Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If I needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with that handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? So, okay, I have a theory. Could it be the fact that the handprint couldn't have happened during the fake murder because the Blue Badger was in front of it at that time? This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Yes, something that when drawn will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans? What about that piece of plywood? The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The Blue Badger is not here. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. There we go. Well, what? There we go. That's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker. I love the it almost looks like he gets shot moment when his like full parka thing goes out. So that means, just exactly what does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker. Don't look at me. I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma. On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in. Just one moment, I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my cold room. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on his camera, on this tape taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim. The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker. So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right, the blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well, then tell us. When did this first incident occur, as Mr. Edgeworth said? Proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place? The Triton records. Ah. Because there was, before Mike Meekins went in, 2 other people went in. Miles Edgeworth and somebody else. I'm gonna present this, I think this is it. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card. Oh! The ID card record! Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50 PM. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 PM. Ah! Miles Edgeworth, just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. Okay, I have a guess. I have a wild guess. I think he took the evidence of the case. And that's why he entered before. But then whoever has the badge number 7777777 did the actual murder. Because I can't believe it's Edgeworth. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it wouldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminal test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other card number remaining. 7 sevens. It's 7 sevens. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7 sevens. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 7777777. That's 1 7 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of the ID card. At least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number 7777777 belongs to someone with the rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity. Is that gonna be Mr. Grant, dude? But that's ridiculous. Just how... I am not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There's one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you could keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask a question. Yes? No, not to you, to her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. Lana? Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course we've looked up her ID number. And it's not 7 sevens. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing. About that incident. The SL9 incident? Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? The plot thickens! Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Miss Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. What? I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Yeah. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't. I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to do, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence. What? See? That's what I'm talking about. No. No. Lana's remarks caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. And the conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. Well. On that bombshell, where do we go from there? I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to do, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. I didn't know. I never knew that the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. I don't know what those letters stand for. Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean, what happened to you? It's all there in the file. Ah, the Great Ace Attorney. Yeah, I've not played that yet. The one with Herlock Sholmes. I'm excited for that one. I want to meet Herlock Sholmes, but it's gonna be a while until I'm there, isn't it? It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. But what did you have to do with those killings, Emma? On the night Prosecutor Neil was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. What? He tried to kill you? Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me. Wait, what? So that means you... Yes. I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial. I didn't see that one coming. Tell me everything. It happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of the year, too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. Then suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. Yeah, I think I'm planning to play them in release order. As in, I've downloaded the Ace Attorney trilogy in one go, so I think I want to play through that all. And then I've got the Great Ace Attorney trilogy, I think, downloaded. And then I think the Chronicles comes after that. Not entirely sure. It's been a while since I had to look that up. But I'm probably going to play them in release order. I feel like then you get all the stories, all the backstory. What's the boo for? I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage. But before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then, what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck and the lights went out suddenly. A bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. I think I do. I've got the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, apparently, so I can definitely play that one. I bought, like, a set, so I think Apollo Justice was part of that. Let me have a look. Apollo Justice. It seems I do not own Apollo Justice. Which I think is a shame. I must put that on my list. A permanent picture? I don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall. So you weren't able to testify about that? No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why she made up the crime. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known. He was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean. It's all my fault. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have happened. So it's true, even though he may not have known it. Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold, like she is today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did, especially not to Emma. What did you see in the instant that crime occurred? Dark knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of his poor girl. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms. Poor Emma, you've been through so much. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that instant. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago, you must have been 14. That's understandable. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I want to be able to fight crime with my testimonies. She's just a kid. She's still just a kid. She's only 16. And find the evidence to make an airtight case. I mean, that is a noble pursuit. That way, Lana would never have to forge any. I see. I think I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. There's something that's puzzling me, Emma. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at that time, right? That's right. Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor? Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? Of course. This happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. But why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Because the detective offices and the questioning rooms are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was the best in the entire force. What? That's news to me. After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Lana used to be a detective? I feel like that's a weird path to take. I'd better have another talk with her. Like, I don't know anything about the law, but I feel like you need to have studied the law to become a prosecutor. Well, I don't think you need to have, like, fully studied the law to become a detective. Might just be me, but going from detective, just casual detective, to chief prosecutor because of one case just feels like a bit of a jump. Let's go talk to everybody. Detention's at our visitor's room. Lana. Mr. Wright, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence? I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul. Why should we? Because you're not criminals. But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Exactly. Believe me, I understand the risks. Lana, Emma told me about you. Oh, about how you were a detective 2 years ago. And how the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Could you fill me in on the details, especially about that unusual change of jobs? See, I'm not the only one thinking that. I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. A lot of revelations were uncovered at the trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen as well, though I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lana. I believed that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth. It couldn't be helped, Emma. At that trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is, at 5:15 there was no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true, Lana, what the witness, Miss Starr, said. About you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife? Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us? Emma, this doesn't involve just me. Obviously. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so phased before. It's true, I was a member of the police force 2 years ago. She was amazing. They still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gaunt cracked together. Chief Gaunt? He was a deputy chief of police back then, but he still worked the crime scenes. Damon Gaunt, he was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed. Emma really idolizes her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes so you could use the experience in court, right? Khan's help in the SL9 case was crucial to its resolution. After that, he became chief of police and arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of these 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Dark. Second in command? That means the investigation lead was Damon Gant, right? Yes, Deputy Chief Gant and I shared the same office and the same investigations. They even had the same office. We led a team of the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall, and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was the serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That was when his final murder took place. When he tried to murder Emma. Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Dark. You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Yeah. Dark was running to... Yeah. Also, for somebody named Dark. It's not subtle, is it? Now you tell us? Damon Gant and Neil Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages and Dark must have suddenly panicked. So he waited until Gant and Marshall left their guards down, then fled the room. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Deputy Gant and myself. That's where he found me. So you were the first person to run to the scene, Lana? It appears so. I was filing some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. Interesting arrangement there. We're definitely gonna get back to that, because that looks wrong in the sense of how did he stab him in the back while he was on top of him? Yeah, no, there's gonna have to have been somebody else there to actually do the stabbing. I think. Also, if the prosecutor Marshall and Gant were together doing the investigation in the interview and Dark runs out and Marshall follows, why didn't Gant follow? Or if he did follow, what did he do? Or is he the one that did the stabbing? If that's the result, I need more explanation because I'm confused. 3 bodies? Prosecutor Marshall, the victim Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma, carried her out of the room, and just held her. Can't blame her after all her sister must have gone through. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL9 incident. That's right. Quite a coincidence, huh? I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident. Just by chance. But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall. Yes, his actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced that the ruling against Joe Dark. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case just might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Grant and I shared. I keep wanting to say Grant. Gaunt sounds weird. The office that Mr. Gaunt now occupies by himself, the Chief's office. Maybe we should have a look at the Chief's office, the site of the final SL9 murder. Let's go. I don't see Detective Gumshoe anywhere. Things seem kinda quiet around here today. You're right, the chief of detectives seems the same though. Why don't we go look for some other people to talk to? Right, we can come back here later. Hello, howdy Bambina. Oh, Mr. Marshall. I never thought things would turn out this way when I woke up this morning. Que sera sera, you never know where life will lead you, eh, Bambina? I should have known my luck had run out when old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance, but we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can't go in the evidence room today, partner. But Mr. Marshall, why did you do it? Why do prospectors head west? If ever there was a case I needed to know the truth about, it was that one. Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. Something was fishy about that trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so. Yeah, it seems that a cactus dried out. What do you mean fishy? Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon. The murder weapon? You mean that switchblade knife with the broken tip? That was Joe Dark's, alright. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. A question? The blade of the knife was not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained. What does that mean? It means there is a good chance that knife was not the murder weapon. However, in the report that was finally submitted, that possibility had been erased. Could the facts have been concealed with forged evidence? That case left behind scars on all of us. The scars that the SL9 incident left behind. I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around. I had just made detective when it went down. It was our first case together. How old was he, your brother? He was 27 at the time. I was awarded the highest honor that very day. The highest honor? You mean the King of Prosecutors? I knew it. What are you looking at me like that for? That's an honor for a prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day the SL9 incident took place, that wasn't the same day as... That's right. It was the day of the evidence transferal. Interesting. It was drizzling that morning, and by nightfall there was thunder. I can't believe 2 years have gone by already. I tried to steal the evidence so the case wouldn't die. Apparently someone tried to stop you. I'm pretty sure he got the looks and his brother had the brains. Detective Goodman was murdered, and the evidence locker was empty. There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved in that investigation, save one, was taken care of. Miss Starr was fired and I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room. What about Detective Goodman? If they did something to him too, the commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to be too obvious. They? Who are you talking about? Don't get upset, Bambina. I mean Damon Grant and Lana Skye. The investigation lead, Damon Grant, and his second-in-command, Lana Skye. There wasn't a person on the force who hadn't heard of that duo. That case was the biggest step in both of their careers. After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office, right? Yeah, Damon Gaunt, the new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She's never been the same since she left. Everyone who knew her said so. Chief Prosecutor Skye was totally different when she was a detective. Now that he mentions it, Emma said something like that too. Tell me, what happened to my sister? Sorry, Bambina, but her secret is too well guarded. I never found out. Lana's secret? It all started 2 years ago. So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? It was certainly enlightening. There's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edgeworth isn't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get a guilty verdict, but someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. That someone is Damon Gant. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I won't even be a patrolman after today. Too bad I won't be around to work with you. When you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambina. Aww. I kinda like him now. No one's here today, not even Miss Starr. Everyone's probably busy looking into what exactly went down in the evidence room. That must be where the detectives are. But we proved in court today that on the day of the crime, no one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15. Yeah, I thought we were finally making some headway in our case. But instead it looks like we just ended up making Lana look even more guilty. Hang in there, Lana. I've got to find all the answers by tomorrow. Mr. Edgeworth isn't here. Maybe he's being questioned by an inquiry committee. He took a real beating in court today. Yeah, with Lana admitting to falsifying evidence 2 years ago, I guess we'll just have to come back later. Oh. This place is always pretty empty, but today it's deserted. That must mean everyone's busy solving crimes. Everyone has just been screwed over by that case. Oh, if you're looking for the others, they're all in the conference room. Thanks? Wow, he actually talked to us. With the chief prosecutor saying that she did and the decision about what to do. About Mr. Edgeworth, not to mention our statement to the media in tomorrow's trial. There's more chaos going on than Thanksgiving and Christmas put together. I think festive is the word usually used for those. Sir, we'd like to have a look around Chief Gaunt's office. Just use the connecting hallway to the other building and take the elevator to the top floor. Really? You mean it's okay for us to go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers or anything. Hey, you're right. You can't go in there. It's off limits. Now I see where Detective Gumshoe gets its unique charm. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's head to the chief's office. What the actual... Okay. Why is there an organ in the chief of police office? Police department chief's office. What the... Whoa, where am I? My question. In the chief's office, silly. At least that's what I said on the door. That's what it said on the door. Check out that pipe organ. That's real, isn't it? Hey, I used to take organ lessons in kindergarten. They used to call me Little Miss Bach. I thought I was genius until they tried teaching me notes. Ooh, God. I never could remember where C was. I know, yes, it's definitely the evil theming. Also, the purple and the stained glass windows are not helping. Oh, hello. Oh, it's you two. Chief gone. He puts that paper he was reading in his desk. So, righto, have you been swimming lately? No, I haven't. I've been kind of busy lately. I can appreciate that. I've had my hands full too with Mr. Marshall's misconduct. And Lana's provocative statement. Provocative statement? Oh, you mean about the forged evidence? 2 years have passed since that incident. My, how time flies. See that big picture on the wall over there? That's a picture of Lana, Neil, and me. So this is Mr. Marshall's brother, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. We took it to commemorate our work together. Something's not right with this picture. Oh my god, the thing in the back is the thing that was broken on the floor. This thing, the jar, is in the back of the picture. And I think there... Okay, something's not right with this picture. I can't quite seem to put my finger on it, though. Gone team picture added to the court record. Anyway, I'd like to reminisce all day, but there are matters that need my attention. I'm going to look up here, so let's go out together. Oh, but this office, it was a crime scene 2 years ago, wasn't it? That case was long since been over. There's no need to investigate it anymore. Of course not. All the same, we'd still like to have a look around. Perhaps you didn't hear me. I said there's no need to investigate it anymore. Yeah, no, you're a creep. You are the creep. Now hurry up and get out. I have a meeting to attend. Looks like we aren't welcome. Definitely looks like that. It seems that case isn't over with yet, after all. What do you mean? Chief Gaunt denied our request to search the crime scene. That means there must be a reason he doesn't want us looking around in there. I mean, we already knew he was the worst. It's just surprising how much bad he can be. Must be a reason he doesn't want to look around in there. You mean like a clue? There's got to be a way we can get inside the chief's office. Hello? Hey, pal. Detective Gumshoe, aren't you supposed to be in a meeting? I'm, just taking a breather. My feet hurt. From sitting so long? Actually, from serving everyone coffee. Sounds like Detective Gumshoe's still out of the loop. Say, have either of you seen Mr. Edgeworth? Edgeworth? No. Why do you ask? He's under fire from both the police department and the prosecutor's office. It's almost like the battles between you two in court. That sounds serious. Is it because of what my sister said? That's basically what it all boils down to. That falsified evidence 2 years ago. Now, Mr. Edgeworth has the whole world after his blood. Yikes. But why would Edgeworth be blamed? It's not like he knew the evidence was forged. Lana Skye is the guilty party here, isn't she? Regardless, a prosecutor is responsible for the evidence they present in court. Not only that, but as you know, there have been a lot of rumors going around about Mr. Edgeworth. His amazing talent as a prosecutor keeps him safe from those who don't like him. But now with this, are there really so many people who hate him? In our world, only those with talent rise to the top. Mr. Edgeworth not only has that, but he is young. There's no better recipe I know of for making enemies. Hey Dick, keep up the good work. Yes, sir. Let's go out for lunch again sometimes. My treat. Yes, sir. You gotta take me back to that joint sometimes, okay, Dick? Yes, sir. It seems you don't have any problems with enemies. Yeah, well, I'm careful not to stick around. Anyway, I'm a bit worried about him. Under all this pressure, I'm afraid Mr. Edgeworth just might crack. Actually, I took a look at the file earlier while the coffee was brewing. He seems genuinely concerned for Edgeworth. Well, did you find out anything? The only evidence Dark left behind was during his final attack. His final attack? You mean when he killed Prosecutor Marshall, who was trying to protect some girl? Me. It seems Detective Gumshoe never realized Emma was the girl. That's when he left the most incriminating evidence of all. Well, what was it? Oh, let's see. I think it had something to do with the murder weapon. Oh, I forget. Look, it's all written somewhere in here, okay? His powers of recollection never fail to impress. Maybe we should show him the murder weapon. It might jog his memory. Joe Dark was 42 at the time of the crime. He was just your run-of-the-mill businessman. A businessman? What made him take to serial killing? One day on his way home from work, he hit someone with his car. With his car? So, it was an accident. An accident, yes, but it transformed him into an animal. An animal? He killed a man that witnessed the accident. Then he killed a lady who saw the second crime. The kid walked by just then, so he killed him too. And then, when he was burying the bodies, a jogger came upon the scene, and he was killed as well. Finally, he turned himself in. Seems he was a pretty careless animal. Of course, this is all conjecture. There wasn't a single shred of evidence. So he turned himself in. Yes, but in the middle of his questioning, he fled and murdered his final victim, Prosecutor Marshall. That crime was witnessed by someone too, but luckily Dark was arrested on the spot. It's a good thing that last witness wasn't killed. That last witness, aka Emma. About this. Hey, is that... It has a tag attached to it with the label SL9 incident on it. I believe this would be the broken murder weapon you were speaking of. What are you doing with that? Ever since that case was closed, that knife's been locked away in a locker. On the day Detective Goodman was murdered, this suddenly disappeared from the locker. And was found in Mr. Edgeworth's car muffler. That's it! Now I remember what that incriminating piece of evidence was. When you showed me that knife, it all came back to me. Well, what is it, Detective? Quick, before you forget again. This knife, it was Joe Dark's, wasn't it? That's right. We traced it back to the store he bought it at. Plus, it had his fingerprints on it too. But no one actually witnessed him using it to murder anyone, right? That's where his luck ran out. Ooh, sorry. I forgot to turn my sound on. Yes, I'm still talking. The broken tip was found in the victim's body, belonged to murderer Joe Dark. Switchblade knife updated in the court records. Sorry. Well, there you have it, in a nutshell. Can you hear me now? Whoops. That's all I know. Can I ask you one more thing? What is it? If it's money you need, you should ask Chief Grant. It's not money, but it does concern the Chief. His office is a crime scene, right? It's where Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. The Chief's out now, and his office is locked. but we'd like to have a look around, if that's okay. Well, any detective's ID card can unlock the door. What? Really? But if I let a civilian in there, I'd be charged with breach of trust. Breach of trust? Simply put, I'd be canned. Oh. Sorry, pal. I don't plan on getting fired because of you. How about this ID card? It was Detective Goodman's. That won't work either. The data was deleted the day he died. Oh. So in other words, Gumshoe is our only chance of getting into that office. I wonder if there's something we could show him that would make him change his mind. Bribe him. He obviously needs the money. Do crime. I feel like the best bet is this picture, but I'm not entirely sure. You know, we can always present him stuff. This is not a... Murder him and take his ID. Guys, we'd like to do this without having to either do crime or falsify stuff. Let me share a little advice with you as a detective. If you don't have a clue, keep your trap shut. I'll keep that in mind. Sheesh. About that jar. I think I've seen it before somewhere. I mean, yeah, we do like him. Somewhere. Or maybe it's one of those memories people have from previous lives. This must be the most uninformative detective I've ever met. Something about it makes me feel uneasy. It's like I'm in the chief's office and he's yelling at me. Chief gone? Where could I have seen that before? I mean, we all like him, don't we? I don't think I have everything I can present him. Okay. There's nobody here, was there? No. Okay. Ooh! High Prosecutor's Office. I wonder if Edgeworth is back yet. There he is! It looks like he's writing something. What are you doing here? He sure was quick to throw that paper on the floor. Tough day in court, huh? I've had to live the past 2 years with rumors flying around. What's another allegation to me? Cheer up, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm rooting for you. That's Edgeworth for you. Always trying to hide his real feelings. Aww. The prosecutor's... Yeah, I had noticed that as well. In the picture, it has like a sword as well, while his only has the shield. We all love Edgy Boy. So, what do you want? Unlike some people, I don't have all day. There's no excuse for what I've done. 2 years ago, I used false evidence to obtain a guilty verdict. That's what it all breaks down to, and nothing I can do erases that fact. But you didn't know, did you? I mean, that the evidence was falsified. The police department and the prosecutor's office share a bond of trust. If that bond is broken, we stand to lose everything. The police department's error is my error, my responsibility as a prosecutor in charge. That fact remains the same no matter what excuse I might have. Mr. Edgeworth, I take pride in my work, so tell me why. Why has it all come to this? Even Edgeworth can't keep his kind of emotion bottled up. Are you up for the trial tomorrow? First last year's trial and now this one. It seems all you do is worry about me. To be honest, you're getting on my nerves. He needs hugs. But Mr. Edgeworth, you can't just walk out on the trial. Tomorrow is the last day. It's too late to change prosecutors. I'll bet that's what my superiors are banking on. I never thought that case would come back to haunt me like this. What do you mean? The list of evidence? It seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. It's only half as long as most lists. That is odd. After Neil Marshall was murdered, I became prosecutor for that case. I may not have been part of the investigation, but I knew what I had to do. Use the evidence I was given to prove the suspect guilty. That was really the only thing on my mind at the time. Say, we just saw a picture taken around that time. That picture. Something seemed strange about it. This picture was hanging on the wall in Chief Gant's office. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He had just started making a name for himself. Looks like this was taken when he received the King of Prosecutor trophy. Speaking of that, there's something that bothers me. Yes? The trophy Mr. Marshall is holding. It's a little different than yours. Yes, you're right. I remember now. Remember what? That was what the official prosecutor's trophy looked like until 2 years ago. There's a story behind its design. A story? Sounds interesting. Would you mind telling it to us? It's simple, really. Contradiction. That's what the award's based on. Could you tell us again about what happened that day? The day Detective Goodman was murdered? You were participating in a ceremony over at the station, right? I've never cared for ceremonies, but I had to attend that one. Because you were awarded this. Those receiving awards can't exactly skip out on the ceremony. I finished up at the office in the morning, then drove over to the police department. He does deserve all the hugs and kisses. Also, yeah, he has good faces. You finished up at the office? Yes, just odds and ends, clerical stuff. I didn't plan on returning to the office that day. That is, until I was asked to take something back. Take something back? This. Oh yeah, Chief Gant asked you to hold on to that, didn't he? Yes, it was a piece of evidence in a case that was closed half a year ago. He asked me to bring it back to the prosecutor's office. That's the story we heard yesterday. So you came back here to the prosecutor's office because the chief asked you to? That's right. This award originates from an ancient Chinese tale. In Chinese, the word contradiction is written with 2 characters. The first means halberd, and the second means shield. Have you heard this story? Me? Oh, sure. Everyone knows that. Why don't you tell it, though? For Emma's sake. Very well. The plot thickens is like the sentence of this stream. Maybe that's what the title of this stream is gonna be. The plot thickens. I feel like I've used that before, though. But yeah, no, definitely. Chief Gant just keeps popping up everywhere. Very well. Oh, we're getting a story. Long ago, in the kingdom of Chu, there was an arms merchant. One day, he presented the king with 2 items. The first was a halberd he claimed could slice through any shield or armor. The second was a shield he claimed could withstand any weapon. Wait a minute. Those claims contradict each other. Very perceptive, but then again, you've heard the story before, right? Anyway, as you mentioned, the very description of these items discredit them both. When the king pointed his out, the merchant was left speechless. And thus the Chinese word for contradiction was born. Ooh, I like that story. Oh, I see. So the chipped shield and broken knife symbolize... Precisely so. They symbolize the merchant's items. The ancient tale ends with the merchant at a loss for words. But it's in our nature to pursue matters to their conclusion. Even if it results in something as ugly as this. Whoa, thanks, Mr. Edgeworth. I learned something new today. That's funny. If that's so, then why were you only given a shield? You'll have to ask Chief Gant. 2 years ago, he had the halberd part of the award abolished. Chief Gant. Again. Game of Prosecutor's Trophy updated in the court record. Okay. Ooh, somebody's here. Or something changed. February 24th, Prosecutor's Office. Underground parking. Lol. Excuse me. Hello. Would either of you care for a £1/4 of roast beef? Miss Starr, I guess she's out of lunches. You certainly are the curious sort, aren't you? Kind of like the first person who sucked a cow's nipple to discover milk. Still, I never thought you'd go digging up that case from 2 years ago. Everyone in this trial was involved in the SL9 incident. Not only that, but the murder occurred on the very day the evidence from that case was due for transferal. This can't all be contributed to mere coincidence. Aren't you forgetting something? You know, that little scene I happened to witness? The instant Lana stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife? No matter how much of the past you dig up, it won't change what I saw. Roast beef is meant to be savoured when eaten. Miss Starr's hatred towards Lana. It all dates back to 2 years ago. Joe Dark. That's a name I'll not soon forget. We trailed him for half a year. Oh, the pressure. Still, I don't think I was ever more alive than I was then. Those days were steamier than a bowl of hot gravy. Poor old Jake Marshall, though. Must have been going through hell. You mean because of his brother's death? They were close, those two. After Neil died, something took over Jake. He became obsessed. Seeing Jake like that made her all the more desperate. Her, Lana Skye. My sister? The best of the best were put onto that SL9 case. Of course, they were led by that legendary duo. Lana and Chief Gant. That legendary pair was the reason we were able to keep up our investigation. That's why we were so shocked over how it turned out. You mean, with the forging of the evidence? Don't get me wrong, Joe Dark got what he deserved. But it was still obvious the evidence produced in court was being manipulated. Items our team never found would suddenly appear, while other items were kept secret. But you don't have proof anything illegal was done. I'm proof enough of what happened. After that case, all of us, save Goodman, were relieved of our duties, most without even so much as an explanation. Then Lana Skye transferred to the prosecutor's office and became chief prosecutor. Lana always wanted to be a prosecutor. Nothing's quite as simple as it appears. Huh? Lana Skye was merely being used as a pawn. That's my take on the matter. She was being used? Damon Gant and Lana Skye. Gant led the investigation and Lana second in command. They were the best. They solved all kinds of cases together, didn't they? Damon Gant's magnetism in particular was almost unreal. His magnetism? By that I mean his ability to attract evidence. He'd produced the most incredible evidence in the cases he handled. Incredible evidence. You mean... Oh yes, there were rumors about him even back then. No one dared confront him though. I take it she's talking about forged evidence. Yeah. Back then everyone looked up to Lana. All the detectives wanted to be like her. Really? Oh yes, myself included. I was a fool, really. She hated anything crooked and was always watching out for the other detectives. That's why she was so concerned for Jake. Mr. Marshall? When Jake's brother was murdered, she felt as if she had lost her own brother. If it wasn't for her, I don't think Jake would have ever recovered from his shock. That's what makes it all the more infuriating. Miss Starr. That's why I'll never be able to forgive her. Why did she have to turn so cold after that? Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office 2 years ago, didn't she? Yes, thanks to Chief Gaunt's powerful influence. Chief. That's right. Having solved the SL9 case, his position as chief was secured. There was only one thing left for him to control. And then no one could stand in his way. The prosecutor's office. The prosecutor's office. There we go. What? You mean that's why Lana was transferred? If he could control the chief prosecutor, he could control the prosecutor's office. That must have been his goal all along. But how could he control Lana? I don't know, but one thing's for sure. Ever since that case ended, she's never been the same. It's only logical to conclude there must have been a reason for her change. At last, I'm finally getting close to the bottom of this ugly mess. Thank you, Miss Starr. You listen to me, rookie. It takes more than just ingredients to create fine cuisine. I hope you turn out to be a better chef than I've been. Ooh, more new stuff. Oh, you're back. You're still here. I gotta make 150 copies of these files. Brewing coffee, copying files. I'm turning into a regular DJ. You're a DJ as well? If I'm not mistaken, I think he means desk jockey. Oh, that DJ. I gotta admire your persistency, but my answer is still no. I'm not letting you in the chief's office, period. It'd be my neck on the line. That office is the last crime scene in the SL9 incident. I have to take a look in there. There's gotta be something we can do to make the detective change his mind. What do I present him? I don't think I'm missing something. I must be getting something else from somewhere to get Gumshoe to give stuff up. What would Gumshoe want? Except for money. Bribing him. What would Gumshoe want? To let us in. Already did that. Oh wait, he threw something on the floor, didn't he? I wonder what he was writing before. Exactly. Come on, Mr. Wright. Let's take a look. Are you crazy? Edgeworth is sitting right there. Just distract him. I'll check it out. Hey Edgeworth. Just give him a hug and a kiss. Is that Detective Gumshoe out the window there? Oh no, he's falling to the ground. Hold on. First, let me see what this girl's doing, crawling around my feet. He didn't even look. What? Letter of... If you're having trouble reading, I'll read it for you. It says letter of resignation. No! Resignation? Edgeworth? You don't mean... Edgy? I'm tired, right? I feel as if something inside me has died. But Mr. Edgeworth, none of it is your fault. I know, the path I've walked. You don't need to tell me. And the path I've walked hasn't been a just one. I can't forgive myself for what I've done. And no one else should forgive me either. Uh-oh. I think he's serious. Mr. Wright, please, you have to do something. This letter of resignation, I wonder if I can use it for anything. Doesn't Gumshoe absolutely love Edgeworth? Let's try that. You're only allowed to retire if you marry Phoenix. Does this change your mind? What's this crumpled up piece of paper? No way. Mr. Edgeworth can't be serious. Is he ever not serious? I can't believe they've pushed him this far. Mr. Edgeworth really feels responsible. When I first met him, I thought he was as cold as ice though. But I know different now. He trusted us detectives to provide him with sound evidence, but we betrayed him. Detective. That's it. I've made up my mind. But... Here, take my ID card. We can't do that if someone found out. They wouldn't let you off the hook with another lost item report. Look at me. It's no secret I'm already out of the loop. After all, I'm friends with Mr. Edgeworth. Aw, Gumshoe. Depending on how this case turns out, I may already be as good as terminated. What? So at least let me do this. For Mr. Edgeworth's sake. Gumshoe! Alright, detective. Thank you. Gumshoe's ID tucked swiftly into pocket. Let's move. Here goes, Mr. Wright. We're in. If anyone finds us now, Detective Gumshoe's a goner. If that happens, I'm counting on you to bail me out. Ah! Ah! Did she just hit him? Sorry. I thought you were a ghost. I didn't even know you could slap a ghost. Detective Gumshoe, what are you doing sneaking up on us like that? I wasn't sneaking. I was just worried something might go wrong. So I came too. If you're here, then what's the point in giving us your ID card? Gumshoe's ID card crushed and rendered unusable in pocket. Hey, don't do that to my card. Well, okay then. I hardly ever get a chance to come in here. So I figured I'd have a look around myself. Besides, we're all in this together now. You really do want to get fired, don't you? Not if we're lucky. Now come on, let's see what we can find out. I've got a bad feeling about this. What desk on the other side of the room? Was that your sister's? Yes, that's where I was waiting for Lana. On that day, 2 years ago. Is anyone using it now? No, sir. This is entirely Chief Gaun's office now. He practices a strict policy of preserving the crime scene. That's a strange reason to leave it there. He leaves it as a warning to everyone else. He wants us to be always alert. He told us so himself at our New Year's party. Of course, he was pretty intoxicated at the time. I see. So ever since Lana left, no one ever touches that desk. No one except Chief Gaun, and the cleaning lady who is in here each morning. Still, 2 years have passed since that incident. Here, there can't possibly be any clues remaining. Yeah, Edgy Boy's only allowed to leave if he still comes back for every case. Can I ask you something? Sure. You only came here to look around, right? Because it's one of the SL9 crime scenes? I mean, that's your only reason for coming here, isn't it? Oh, Gumshoe. Why do you ask? You don't think... Nah, you wouldn't be. No. No, there's no way. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Okay, now then, let's look around a bit more. Hey, hold on. Not so fast, buddy. Huh? What is it? When someone tells you don't worry about it, it's supposed to start bothering you, pal. You don't just let it go at that. Sorry, this guy's starting to get on my nerves. Okay, so what's bothering you? You two don't think Chief Gaunt might be a suspect, do you? Oh, we definitely do. What? He's right, Mr. Wright. What do you think of him? Chief Gaunt? So it's finally come to this. What do I think of him? Perhaps it's best I don't divulge my feelings. Yet. There you go, ignoring me again. Time to examine some stuff. This is the real deal, isn't it? This armor and these weapons. Sure is, pal. The chief doesn't care for imitations. First a pipe organ, now this armor. Do you know how many taxpayer dollars must have gone into this room? What? You mean we're paying for this? That's it. I'm not paying 1 cent of my taxes. You don't have any taxes to pay. Shh, be careful what you say. Who knows? The chief may be hiding in this armor as we speak. I don't think he'd fit in there. Even if he did, he'd never be able to get back out. Cut it out. You guys don't know how scary that guy can be. This is safe, isn't it? Safe. That word is ripe with intrigue. Okay, if you say so. It looks like a code needs to be entered in this panel to open it. A 7-digit number. I think it just might know what it is. Do you know what it is? I have a hunch. Oh, I know. You want to try my birthday. It's... Buddy, no. I think it's 7 sevens. I have a better idea. Here goes nothing. There we go. Bingo. What number did you enter? Whose birthday was that, pal? 7 sevens, the final ID card number on that record. What? The number of the mysterious executive officer who entered the room that day. You mean 777-7777, that ID number? I think you're 1 7 shy this time. God, this can only mean one thing. The Chief's Gaunt's ID number. Say, anyone care to look inside? Yeah, definitely. That's why I opened it. Is there any money in there? How much does he have stashed away? Look, it's a shard from a broken cup. This somehow looks familiar. Where have I seen this before? There's something else in here too. What's this? It looks like a piece of leather cloth with perfect fingerprints. This is a handprint, isn't it? Hey, I saw someone wearing a shirt like that once. You think the chief made up the design? I don't think so. Oh, well, it was just a thought. Is that it? This is all that was in the safe? Apparently so. It's empty now. A piece of cloth with a handprint on it. And a broken shard from a cup. They're very nice prints. They look like pieces of evidence. Yeah, but unless you can prove they have something to do with this case, I'm afraid I can't just let you take them. After all, it's my neck on the line here. Great. Now I have to prove their relevancy to get them. How are these two items related to this SL9 incident? Come on, there's got to be something we can show the detective. Detective Gumshoe, could you have another look at this jar? I remember when the three of us put that back together. Ah, those were the days. It's kind of early to be nostalgic. That was like 2 days ago. Wasn't this jar a piece of evidence from that case? That's right. One of the shards had an SL9 incident sticker on it. Doesn't this ring any bells? You know, that fragment we just found? You mean this one that was in the safe? Yes, that one that was in the safe. Now that you mention it, it rings a lot of bells. Let's see if it fits. Here, let me see that shard. I'll take a crack at this. Go ahead, pal. Show us what a rookie can do. Mr. Wright, here's some glue. If I can piece this together again, it'll prove Chief Gaunt was knowingly hiding evidence. Here goes. How did he become a detective? That's the question with like half of the police in this game. There, it fits like a charm. That of course means Chief Gaunt willingly and knowingly hid a piece of this jar in his safe. In other words, he concealed a piece of evidence from the Esfel 9 incident. But, hey guys, get a load of this. What is it? This piece you just attached is different from the others. There's a reddish line on it. A reddish line. Edgy boy, and hopefully us a little bit. That's blood. I don't get it. Why would Chief Gaunt hide this in his safe? Unstable jar, updated in the court records. Something is written. Something is written there. Where's our fingerprinting? Detective Gumshoe. I'd like you to have a look at this. Hey, I know what that is. So you want to take some fingerprints? That's a great idea, detective. Alright, go to town. Sheesh. What are you doing? Why are you sticking out your hand like that? Go ahead, take my fingerprints. It's not your fingerprints we want to take. Huh? Come on, this isn't the time for jokes. We're talking about that cloth we found in the safe. Us a tiny bit, thank you. Ah, haha. I knew that. The one with the handprint on it, right? Sheesh, where's your sense of humor? Okay, Mr. Wright, let's check for prints. Sprinkle the powder on the cloth. Then, once they've been absorbed into the print, blow the rest away. What are you, my mom? I don't have to be told a million times. Alright, let's get this over with. Is that good enough? This one looks like the best. The clearest one. Ooh, yes. There we go. Why is her fingerprint on there? No, how can this be? What are Emma's fingerprints doing here? Hey, you found a match? Whose fingerprints were they? It seems the prints are too old. They weren't clear enough to get a match. Oh, that's too bad. I thought they'd be Dark's prints. Psst, hey you, over here. What's going on here? What are that kid's prints doing inside the chief's safe? Don't ask me. Let's just keep this information from Emma for now. Here, maybe you should hold on to it. Piece of cloth. Is there more? Whoa, look at the size of Chief Gaunt's desk. Speaking of that, when we were here earlier... Oh, it's you two. Chief Gaunt. He put that paper he was reading in his desk. I wonder what he was reading. This looks like a list of evidence. A list of evidence? In most cases, the list runs twice as long as this, though. Hey, look at the case name. Huh? SL9 incident, there we go. I wonder what this is doing here. Hold on, detective. What did you just say? I said, I wonder what... No, about evidence lists. Normally, they're twice as long. That's right. I guess there wasn't a lot of evidence. A half-size list of evidence. A list of evidence. It seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. What would the other half of the list be doing here? I knew it. The chief must be hiding something about that case. It would appear so. Evidence list added to the court records. Well, was I any help? Of course. Thanks to your ID card, we were able to get some hard evidence. Now that's not very kind, is it? In other words, if it wasn't for his ID card, he wouldn't have been useless. Isn't that right, you in the coat? Oh god. Hello, Chief Gaunt. We didn't think you'd be back so soon. Fortunately, I'm a man who believes in science. As I was walking to my meeting, I happened to look out a window and saw a stray dog run into a pole. Just then, I thought of a certain detective. Do you mean me, sir? Now then, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you all to leave. Yes, sir. Sorry. Oh, you in the coat. Me, sir? Drop off your ID on the way out. You won't be needing it anymore. But, sir... Now get out! Yes, sir. We'll be on our way too, then. Wait, you, the one without the spiky hair. Don't go yet. Me, sir? I'd like a word with you. But, sir, I'm not a licensed scientific investigator yet. You with the spiky hair, you're free to go. Yeah, he just got fired. Mr. Wright? Look, pal. If I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. The chief's office is off limits. But no, you just had to go sneaking in there like that, didn't you? I thought you said you didn't care anymore if you were fired. Yeah, but if I knew I'd be like this, I never would have said it. Now that I've seen the evidence Chief Gaunt was hiding in his office, I think I'm finally starting to get the picture. But why has she kept eerily silent about it all this time? Anyway, you listening to me? I'm gonna try to smooth things over with the chief again. Later, pal. After that, I heard from Emma. She said the police wanted to ask her some questions. So she'll be busy for the rest of the day. I see. So the chief asked Emma to come in for questioning. It's no use thinking about it. Tomorrow's the final day in court. I'm committed to doing everything I can to defend you, which is why I'm here. But I've already told you all I can. What you've told me over these past couple of days is absolutely nothing. Not a single useful thing. Really? I believe I did mention something quite important. Something I told you right at the beginning. I said that I was the one who stabbed Detective Goodman. You know, I think I finally figured it out. I know who it is that's lurking behind your words. Mia did a good job mentoring you. I'm rather jealous. It seems Edgeworth was right. Edgeworth? Once you're convinced you know something, no one can persuade you otherwise. Thick-headed is the term he used, I believe. Now's my chance to get her to tell me the rest of the story. I have to admit, I was more than a little perplexed at first. You insisted you did it, yet there was no incriminating evidence. That's when it hit me. It's not that you're unwilling to tell the truth. It's that you're incapable of doing so because of a certain individual. What an intriguing notion. A certain individual, you say. So you think I'm protecting this person? Protecting? No. I think afraid of is more like it. Oh my god. If I'm not mistaken, the person in question may have persuaded you to silence. For argument's sake, Mr. Wright, who, may I ask, is this person you're speaking of? Gaunt. The one I'm supposedly so frightened of? What is this person's name? Well, Miss Sky. Mr. Wright, you are addressing the Chief Prosecutor. Do not forget your place. I take it she's still not ready to spill the beans. My apologies. Could you please tell me a bit more about what you think you know? We were partners until 2 years ago. I respected him as a detective. Assuming he is respectable, then tell me something. Why would he try to hide his crimes? His crimes? Both you and Edgeworth will be brought before a board of inquiry for what you did. Specifically, hiding and forging evidence. Of course, these are serious offences. Why is it, though, that Chief Gaun's name was never mentioned? Chief Gaun? Edgeworth didn't know the truth behind the forgery. The only party who could have possibly tampered with the evidence was me. I had access because I was second in command of that investigation. Yes, you, but also one other. Damon Gant. Gaunt. I'm worried about Emma too. If you intend to accuse Chief Gaunt, you'll need more than just words. Show me proof that Chief Gaunt falsified evidence in that case. Heh. Nice. Happy to have looked. I just found this in a safe in the chief's office. This flower piece and this piece of cloth. Do you know what these are? They're pieces of evidence from the SL9 incident. The person concealing evidence was none other than Chief Gaunt himself. Now tell me, why are you taking all the blame for him? Touché, Mr. Wright. It's as you surmised. I cannot disobey the Chief's orders. Even if it means being found guilty for murder. Why not? Come now, Mr. Wright. You can't possibly expect me to be able to tell you that. 3 days ago, I had no choice but to cooperate. In the murder of Detective Goodman. Or perhaps I should say, follow orders. Yes, that's more accurate than cooperate. Although I can't tell you the details, I can say that I was given an order that day. I need you to dispose of Bruce Goodman's body. There we go. You'll find it inside the trunk of Miles Edgeworth's car. Just as I suspected. Despite what everyone believes, you were not the one who murdered Detective Goodman. Correct. I was trying to take the body out of Edgeworth's car. The trunk's lock was broken, and I discovered that murder weapon while inspecting the body. The murder weapon? You mean Edgeworth's knife? No. When I found the body, this was the knife stuck in it. The knife from the SL9 incident. I couldn't just leave that knife in him. So I took it out and stabbed him with another knife. There we go. That would be Edgeworth's knife? That's right. Even though he was already dead, my hands were shaking at the thought of stabbing him. That's why I ended up cutting my hand. And that is the reason for the bandage on your right hand? Yes, it seems that I got blood on the victim's shoe as well. And then... she saw me just as I plunged the knife in. Miss Starr, huh? Why did you need to hide Dark's knife so badly? It took a lot of work to finally close the Dark case 2 years ago. It was over with. I didn't even want it to be opened again. My intent was to prevent that, by whatever means possible. So, you hid Dark's knife. The weapon used to stab the detective was evidence in the Joe Dark case. If word got out, which it would, the reporter would have had a field day with that. So you wrapped the knife in your scarf and hid it. In Edgeworth's exhaust pipe. Right. Then I called my sister. To tell her what happened, and I asked her to hide the knife that was inside my muffler. You asked Emma? I didn't want anyone on the force to know about this. That would explain why Emma is so confident about Lana's innocence. Speaking of phone calls, I had a bad feeling about one of them that day. A bad feeling? The truth is, after I received those orders from Chief Gaunt, the first thing I did was make a phone call. A phone call to Patrolman Jake Marshall. To Marshall? Why on earth would you call him? The lead investigator for the SL9 incident had been murdered. I wanted that fact to be kept hidden, and I needed help. He was the only other person I could trust. Or at least, I thought I could trust him at the time. However, it seems that after I spoke to him, he went off on an escapade of his own. Oh, you mean, not wanting the case to die, he decided to take things into his own hand. He disguised himself as Detective Goodman and tried to steal the evidence. He had already stolen the ID card, but it seems he still hadn't made up his mind to break into the evidence room. After my phone call, any remaining doubts he had must have disappeared. So your phone call caused the incident in the evidence room. I'm afraid that's all I can tell you. But Lana, you've earned my respect, Mr. Wright, both as a defense attorney and an investigator. Now please, don't pursue this any further in court tomorrow. Oh yeah, no, that's not happening. We are definitely pursuing this in court. Tomorrow's trial. There's only one way to drive off Lana's demons. I've got to get to the bottom of everything. Detective Goodman's real murderer. And what went down in the chief's office 2 years ago. And that will be for next time. I've now been streaming for 3.5 hours. And I think this is a good place to stop. So, I don't know yet when I'll be back with this game. As I said, considering we're now on the last day, it might only be one more stream, maybe? I think we're getting close. So, I hope you will join me next time. I will be back on Monday with my normal streaming at 6:30 European time. And other than that, I will see you guys later. Bye bye!